This is a video translated with Google Translate, so it will sound weird, and also I modified some stuff. The story begins in the spring of 1967 in an English-speaking city. There is a great restaurant called Fredbear Family Dinner. Fredbear Family, a restaurant that was very popular with people, children and adults celebrated parties and birthdays in this place, but because this place was so popular, well, it was popular because it had something that others did not tell. Animals, robots, or as we say, points. The animatronics. Among the animatronics were the bear Freddy, a bear whose function was to hunting with his peculiar microphone, the rabbit of which he played songs with the guitar, and the girl the chicken which distributed pastelico cadiques to the children and adults the money. So they decided this time with a theme less the Pirate Cove, in Spanish quickly the fox. Foxy ganos a me, I point to everyone, they liked it, and Foxy. This made the restaurant win is bad and also a lot. However, having a lot of money, they would have to hire guards to take care of the place. The restaurant hired two people. One was her guard named Jeremy Fitzgerald and the night guard named Vincent, the guard of the children who came while the Vincent watched the animatronics at night, and that no one will steal the place. Vincent stayed in his office watching the cameras, but there was something he liked a lot: Fox, Pirate Fox. Among all animatronics, this was his favorite. The days they spent both guard at work until one day everything changed. One day, like any other restaurant, this man can talk to the head of the restaurant. This man told him that his little son was the restaurant and the animatronics. A man who was rich asked him to create a special show since his son would soon be turning years old. The head of Fredbear Family Dinner accepted. The head of the restaurant ordered to build the animatronics, the gold investments of Freddy and Bonnie, and the names were Yellow Bear and Spring Bonnie. The boy, accompanied by his parents, arrived at the restaurant. When he entered, he got a big surprise. The restaurant was hung up and the original animatronics Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, but as a waiter taking cake to the children of the party, the happy boy was playing and eating with your friends. Meanwhile, turn me on, man. Vincent and another guy were getting ready to wear the animatronic suits, as the head of the restaurant didn't have time to get into, so it was over like suit Vincent the golden Bonnie suit and the other team the golden Freddy suit. The three guys got on stage and gave her at the end I told you show points, enunciated the great surprise of the party. The men brought a giant gift to the stage. Suddenly the gift was opened and a puppet came out. The boy liked it. Were the puppets like puppets or animatronics? The puppet pulled with cables. He moved around the restaurant playing a nice song. The 1 hour party used continued until nightfall. Vincent, and when he said he had something very important to do, Golden Bonnie's secret suit, and he meant to pick up his car from the parking lot that was one from the restaurant, so she went to take off the golden suit. I just want the other guy, and which one was in the golden Freddy suit who was in the restaurant to go to before the birthday boy left. Live the boy in the restaurant golden Freddy costume. The boy dressed as Golden Freddy at night, and it was dark. The boy began to let go, but it was the light of a car. It was the light of the car of the man in purple. The man in purple approached Mino. At that moment, Morals's name recognized that it was the son that a rich man has, so he thought how much money they would make him for skateboarding. The man in purple grabbed the boy, but he began to scream. The man in purple, nervous because El Catler does the first thing that comes to mind. The man in purple kills the boy. The man in purple tried to go in his car, but he started with the golden Freddy suit, which had heard the boy's bulls, which has a name point. They start to fight to take off the suit. Does not let him pass through the HDMI door. Jeremy manages. He goes out to the street and finds something that would mark him for life. Body of the child lying on the ground. I name in the suit of dead Freddy lying on a wall, and he remains motionless, but at that moment the people of the restaurant come out and find HDMI next to the bodies. People call the police. HDMI, which they are still mobile of fear, it stays there. When it reaches the police, Jeremy will take away for questioning. The boy's parents stay there crying the of the loss of their child. Autumn 1977, months after the murder at Fredbear Family Dinner in restaurant fell into bankruptcy. The father of the murdered child received the news that the father who owned the company to wait for bankruptcy entertainment will continue to be saddened by the death of his only son, but he knew that the restaurant was not to blame for his death. The owner expected a meeting with the owner of a restaurant, and after creating the owner, he immediately began rebuilding the new premises. This new restaurant was called Freddy Fat Bear Pizza. This new restaurant, the safety of the staff and the safety of the customers, so the owner of Jasper to spend a small fortune. Do we use the same suits? So they hired the phone guy to talk about the spring locks. One man gets spring locked in Spring Bonnie and the place has to close. In 1986, the father, Freddy Fazbear, made a new restaurant, the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. She had to make a plan so nobody gets hurt, so we spend some money. Security systems, but an important point was missing: the great animatronics. The contract to the best electronics engineers to repair the animatronics. Among them was a very important person, Vincent, the man in purple. The animatronics had been months without maintenance. The owner of Waiting wanted to maintain security. It was for this reason that he ordered that facial recognition systems be added to the animatronics. He even made a deal with Lucia to associate facial recognition with a database of local criminals. The engineers began to work and began to save the animatronics to put the new technology. Animatronics. The owner of creating accepted the idea, so he sent to create new animatronics with toy aspects. This remodeling of Foxy, his son, and also the surprise gift he gave his son. What nobody knew is that the soul of the owner's son left bare. A gun had been left in Put's body, that the restaurant was ready to open. Freddy Fazbear Pizza. November 1, 1987. Day shift. The restaurant opened. The way the restaurant was once again the favorite place for young and old man in purple, who was an engineer. He became the security guard. Vincent started his job as a guard, but he had a plan in mind. Vincent, after the murder that he thought nothing of it. Vincent was mad at 5 children of messing up his car, so he had a plan to become the man of murders. Looking for the place Vincent in the surprise room, where was a great giant gift that came out, which with the help of Paul Restaurant in a long time ago. He was working as a security guard, wanting revenge on him. He wanted to attack him, but there were children and adults without a cover, and he attacks you. Be Vincent. They could stop him. You are still not able to move with total freedom, so he just continues with his show. Vincent kept moving around the establishment, and so he entered the one where Toy Foxy was, but it was destroyed by the children. The Vincent sent to call the engineers to reassemble. The man in purple continued touring the establishment and finally found a place to hide the bodies in the utility room. Vincent already knew where to keep the bodies of his victims. Vincent's turn was over and he was about to arrive at the restaurant, and he got ready to work the night shift. The security guard started his shift. You should keep an eye on the cameras, which was a very simple 1-hour job. And November 2, 1987, day shift. Vincent is determined to undertake his next murder. To the parts and service room. If he puts on a suit, but not just any suit, since in the parts and services room there were the animatronic suits with the Vincent. He took one of these suits in cast death. Thus he caught the attention of a child who it was in the corridor what he brought into the parts and service room, but what the man, but is that he could not enter since the cables did not reach the interior of the service room. He could not do anything. The child was murdered. Vincent came out of the service parts room. He found himself watching the computer. The man in purple only walked away with a strange sensation. He could not do anything to save the child, but he could save his soul, which, in Foxy's suit, the man in purple, working as if nothing was going around the restaurant, pretending that nothing had happened in this. Destroyed again. Night shift. Vincent left the premises and the night guard went to work at this time to check the cameras, but something strange happened. The door of the utility room, the man was open under the cameras and illuminated with his flashlight. The corridor. The man did not believe what he saw. Where Foxy was at the end of the corridor on guard. Scared, he started. This made Foxy restart, and the church Arahal parts and services room. The guard, scared, finished his shift. But he mentioned this to him, man in purple, on November 6, 1987, day shift. The man in purple, surprised by what the night guard said, he tried to kill no one would be the man in purple, he thought, and I thought. Then he remembered the point and how he looked at that moment. Vincent, I thought a theory. He thought that possibly some of his victims are, although he thought that was ridiculous. Meanwhile, he complied and was trying to move you without using the cables. Vincent could not believe that theory, so he explained, but in that he found again I am Foxy destroyed. Like everyday engineers could not believe that cat was destroyed, so they stopped talking about it. You left him where he builds and destroys. They even called him a mangrove. Night shift. The night guard arrived and began to monitor the cameras. He illuminated Foxy so that he would not do the guard that moved by. A short. November 4, 1987, day shift. Vincent kept thinking about animatronics and about the animatronics toy that moved. They tried to enter his room. Vincent was the surprise room and he was fine. The cause of the bouquet. So Vincent was dedicated to watching all day, but with the flashlight the security guard was not a problem if I was checking the cameras, but this time I noticed something strange was Pepe is coming out of his box, but is that the night guard did not move. He finished his work round, but he felt even more worried November 5, 1987 day shift, and after what the night guard told him, I suspect the worst out there, you were alive, and not only that he could move without cables. Vincent watched and discovered something shocking, and that would help him since he has a special circuit inside which prevented him from moving while the music was playing. This would help him. But busy to see if it was true, so I installed a remote control panel to the security cameras so that I could activate the music remotely. Although it lasts a night shift, the night guard, following the advice of the guy on the phone, activates the music from the room of what he said was true occupy. It has not been gone all night November 6, 1987. It moved when there was music. It is tolerated more security. But in the meantime it complies, and it was perfecting you to move without using the cables, and although it could moving a little still depended on the cables, so he thought of something else. He will modify the animatronics I give so that they catch the night shift security guard in the night guard. He arrived and commented to monitor the cameras. What would be his surprise when they began to move towards his room. However, when the toy animatronics arrived at the guard office, they only saw him with facial recognition. No, they did not recognize it as a threat. November 7, 1987 day shift. The night guard told him the man in purple from the toy animatronics thought that maybe not a system failure, maybe a failure in the facial recognition system. So to avoid this, I went to the parts and services room as a happy head and left it to the night guard night shift. The night guard came to his round and tried the mask that Vincent left him. Apparently works nothing, but the night watchman, not months after the sting. Jeremy meets shocking news. Freddy Fat Bear Pizza Point, a new restaurant, occupies a new night clerk and make him pay for the death of the boy and his partner. November 8, 1987, the former night guard day shift. Now he was there, the man in the pizzeria specialist. The Vincent is the name of recognizing point because I would ask him questions about what happened that day, and Vincent was a very nervous person. He would not endure an interrogation, so to help Mile yesterday night shift and night one while his first day of work, hoping to capture the criminal by commenting on the night, a message recorded by the man from November 1st. He also talks about the things he discovered with the previous night guard, how to put on the mask and not let the music of the box end. Jeremy starts his work this review them in bed somewhat, the animatronics modified at night and the guard locked up for months. But if he spends the first night working under those conditions, he decides to stay because he wants to catch the guilty murder. November 9, 1987 day shift. The man in purple notes that I survived the night, so he decides to leave another message saying that he is doing well. He mentions to Foxy the animatronic of the old models that possessed life. Even favorite animatronic is Foxy and thinks that he could move without the need for cables, but the man in purple does not trust Serimi, so he uses an animatronic to keep an eye on taking him into a man. Last night it would also activate, which had the microphone and the camera, but the microphone would fail due to the mangrove circuits, and this nevertheless passes the second night, and this would begin to suspect the man in purple. And it is November 1987 day shift while the man in purple message of the third day to go to see that he can survive the nights, and what the fuck, and Foxy does not move. No one is prepared to commit another murder. The man in purple dressed again with the 3 children to the 4th of parts and service, but very well. He realizes this equally from the souls of the 3 murdered children in the Freddy animatronic costumes, and he wanted to love me for that reason. It is night 3 appears in Freddy, Bonnie and Chica night shift. Night 37 comes to me and receives the third message. He showed up last night and tells you that everything is fine, huh? That nothing happens, but this would not be the case since Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, they could move and they wanted to be, but these 3 could be avoided with the mask already. That these 3 were given facial recognition technology, and when they put on the mask series the animatronics, they did not consider it. However, it does not have facial recognition, and that is why nothing prevents him from attacking Seb's face or not. But why do the old animatronics attack Jeremy if this is not the murderer? Even if you have facial recognition, it is all being put on very old models does not work well, and it is not blurry to people. The only thing the animatronics know is that the person who is with the man in purple, since he was also a guard, and even with all the problems he did not pass the third night. But if you are my suspicion that so the police station and 11 as a suspect night shift 4 night wants to get to me the man from HDMI spends the night for November 12, 1987 the investigation 90 hours in the police does not let in employees including the previous one, so he has to plan how to avoid being discovered he cannot resign since that would be suspicious the only thing he can do is to leave messages to be the man of services however, I do not notice that a girl is there the man in purple nervous to the girl tries to act as if nothing trying to avoid being discovered but this would fail since the guard who was previously the night guard I haven't asked him if he had seen a girl. But the man decided to look for the girl in his search he entered the parts and services room the man in purple became more nervous than ever if the guard saw the body that was in the room he was finished the man in purple nervous does what best knows how to do inside the parts and services room kills the guard and hides it in the golden girl costume makes a little peculiar departure since the guard's soul was put in a common and current skeleton point however, this soul would last very little in this night shift 5 night doll outfit and receives the call from the man devoured, mentions that the guard post is free. November 1987 day shift the man in purple nervous decides to end all evidence so he steals Spring Bonnie's suit which had been used to commit the murders of the man in purple before finishing his shift or less at the door of the restaurant reporting that is closed this does it what they are for and do not come to work and prevent you from being man in purple and that the suit disappeared night shift night 607 ignores me at least and goes to work the man in purple finds out about this and makes a call. Name of how the man in purple had modified I sent to attack the security guard knew that he was attacked yesterday and the restaurant would be closed and the investigation here and thus he could get rid of suspicion upon hearing the call from the man in purple Jeremy remembers what happened at Fredbear family dinner and this reminds him of the body of his dead partner who was in a golden Freddy suit this made him nightmares about the golden Freddy suit Jeremy spends the night 5 the bite of 87 November 14, 1960 work the restaurant celebrate a very special birthday loaded that nothing will happen walked around the establishment making sure that the children began to play with mangroves Emilio I am Alejo the children of mangroves, if active scanning recognized it as a threat to the head giving the frontal lobe the parents and staff who were running to ward off mangles say premium with the bite in the skull fell into a coma soon the paramedics arrived and took a night shift night 76,000 his first day of work to take care of the animatronics but after what happened in the morning he decides to modify his movement controls to the day to manipulate the animatronics later of this and Zero restaurant the animatronics toy were destroyed except one Muddypunto because this was special for the owner. But hoping to reopen, what happened to the children the souls of the murdered children? They were looking for revenge. The effect of the last girl, who was in it, was calm the souls of the children approached the alarm of this girl. The girl was not looking for revenge because at last she would be with her cape and have her father nothing man. That occupy the golden Freddy suit that is why this weapon has more face than golden Freddy the soul of the girl. He told the others to leave in the revenge of the anus after thinking about it the first murdered child, they left you the sale 6 souls were freed from animatronics these kids were free all spirits from 1967-1987 with free. Years later in 1992 Freddy Fat Bear Pizza. Open guide again but with lower budget several all were collapsed the restaurant still had bad reviews but still some people like this restaurant still the restaurant opened in spring 1992 however no they had animatronics they had been sent to remodel to make them have a more friendly model the restaurant had no choice but to make the staff wear the amber suits, but which would be the ones they would use would be the golden suits the man in purple repaired the most let it say golden Freddy and I also leave some instructions on how to use the suits. Sometime later the new remodeled animatronics arrived, the restaurant seemed to be on the right track, but this pizzeria was already suffering the man in purple was planning to kill again the man in purple attracted 5 children using Freddy's suit since the golden models were forbidden no was brought from Tuesday and services and assets murderer the man in purple I wait until everything left to get out of Freddy's suit the next day the police would arrive to investigate the case of the missing children they would find evidence in Freddy's suit from a child the bodies of the 5 children were not found but sufficient evidence would be found for the man in purple is taken to prison where he was interrogated but the only information that could be taken from him is that his preferred animatronic stocks and the policemen. murders of the 5 children, so they will be missing between the comb to wait. After hearing this, they put Fox out of service, and the 6 children murdered before had been freed, so the animatronics were just that, animatronics. However, in Freddy Fat Bear Pizza in July 1992, murders 5 other children had died. These children entered the animatronic bodies in the pizzeria in a room, since the owner of waiting did not destroy, as it will be a memory of his deceased son. They wanted to take revenge. They wanted to take revenge on the man in purple, but the same thing happened to them that 6 years ago. The animatronics did not recognize people, they saw them dirty. But they knew it was a security guard, so they knew what they had to do, and because of the night guard, which the man in purple immediately thought some guards from the restaurant had killed, but they could not rest in peace, since he had to find the man in purple to rest in peace. So if you want to catch every shift guard who was training in the hope that some would be the man in purple months after the murders, the man in purple Sunny under word point, but he will have to do community service going down at Freddy Fat Bear Pizza Hut. The man in purple worked weeks at the premises, but the last week something would happen to him, and still the man in purple has a nightmare in which he is seen inside Freddy, Chica and Bonnie, but is awake when everything goes dark, and one word echoes in his head: it's me. And the man in purple knew this wasn't just a nightmare, it was the man in purple foresees the worst point and decides to record some messages for the next guard to know what to do in case yesterday something happens to him. His fear comes true. The animatronics, the man in purple, thanks to his knowledge about animatronics, managed to survive. But I wanted to miss entertainment. I put doors in the office at the request. Guards had disappeared before livers. The man in purple has another nightmare. This time the animatronics are not staring at the nightmare ends with "this is me." The man in purple begins to feel nervous. The man in purple records his second message. The man in purple has to survive only 4 more nights to finish his service, but this would not be the animatronics chasing him. I had to save energy but still spend the night to. Day 3, the man in purple has another nightmare, this time Girl and Bonnie Ely. But Golden Freddy would appear, and who was this Golden Freddy? Because it would be the memory that the boy he killed at Fredbear family dinner, or the nightmares tormented him to record his messages in. Man in purple spends the 3rd night, day 4, the man in purple. But this more terrifying time, because there was the ghost of the first child who killed. The man in purple woke up and knew he had to do something. He would not last another night. It will be the restaurant. When he arrives, he starts working. But it is a name of this was his day. So quickly create a plan. Would close the doors, hopefully the animatronics. The man in purple closes the 2 doors and begins to record his last message. The animatronics managed to enter the office, so Vincent destroy them. He came back to get rid of something pending. The man in purple came back and began to destroy the animatronics. 1 *1 The souls of the children that were in the animatronics. Man in purple in the secret room. The soul of the 5th child who was in the sage went to the secret room. The scared man in purple did not know what to do, so he runs inside the golf suit hoping to deceive the souls, but this suit failed the safety, so the suit is contracted and the endoskeleton goes through the man in purple. 5:30, but they wanted more than is in the soul of the man in purple in the animatronic. The local police of Freddy Fat Bear Pizza, because the man in purple had disappeared, the police did not find the man in purple, so it was considered dead. It was the team that is in charge of the remodeling of the animatronics, so hearing the news that the animatronics decides to take the job of guarding while watching the message of the man in purple magical is reproduced. Listening to this message produces more interest, because he had heard the other night hoping to find another message. But no message sounded. You don't feel bad, come back. One last night to hope that there would be, but to prevent you from delaying it. Note: animatronics modifies its difficulty to track. It realizes this and fires my days later the firing of the pizzeria survivor of the pizzeria. So when he decided to create a horror attraction with the theme of the pizzeria, but 30 years had passed and there was not much to collect in 5 happy kisses while the attraction built. Someone had returned. The son realized that it had happened in 1987. With this information, Milo's son who to find the pieces that were only more expensive. Empty Mike's son told him about the Miley's son offers a job. Begins his 2nd week in the attraction of horror. His first week had been easy. The son of your first day of the week at the attraction animatronic with Munra Golden Bonnie in period, which causes Jeremy memories about Fredbear family. Those memories turn into hallucinations. It reminds me of the murder at night, which causes me to hallucinate today, which was based on the first dead child. The man in purple recognizes Jeremy and also remembers that he tried to get him arrested, for which he decides to kill him. But no injury follows. Bayan's laugh goes to which had that I am running to the room that sounded. H23 The more they haven't entering this place while trying to avoid That I am trapped. It reminds me more of his past. Tonight he receives a hallucination, and as soon as later than but no would be switched if you notice hallucinations. The Golden Freddy one, because it does not have the Golden Freddy Chica buttons, because it reminds him that by taking off that suit he did not arrive on time and perhaps he could avoid the death of his companion. Hallucinations other than the previous Foxy in which they haunted 1987 down the corridor. Apart from the fact that I never came, so the hallucination jumps to attack you point, and that's why the old model hallucination instead of new. Also a 1987 musical box. Uteni would receive a specials hallucination according to that to end his fears, because everything was in his mind to end his nightmares. If you could spend the night point and get rid of its traumas locally, however it catches fire due to system failures caused at night and in everything related to WeChat. The end.